All right, welcome to the Positive Masculinity Podcast. I'm Dutra-Smith, here with my new guest, Sarah Stafford.
Hello.
Before we get started, anything you want to shout out? Anything interesting going on? Anything you want to talk about? Or say real quick?
I can introduce myself.
Yeah, do that.
Okay, cool. As you said, Sarah. I've lived in San Diego for my entire life, but I lived in Salt Lake for 7 years. So I give a very different perspective on masculinity than I think a lot of people do, just given the state. I have a sociology degree and a criminal justice degree, so that definitely helps with the conversation. But I'm excited to be here.
Cool.
There you go.
Well, you already kind of started on your life story, but start on your life story. Try to focus on any like canon events that have to do with masculinity. That's like the kind of the important parts.
Yeah, definitely. So, being in Salt Lake for over 7 years, I started a job there. So, and I currently still work at a big finance firm, top 10, that is dominant men, and the traditional masculinity and what comes with that is very present in my day-to-day life. So I get day-to-day experiences with the good and the bad on a daily basis, which is fun. Love that. And then moving back here to San Diego, it's definitely been a different experience and give me a good reality check in a good way, that what I was experiencing there that I didn't get here, which is good. So I have a lot of different viewpoints on how it works and how it goes. But yeah, that's really it. It's the whole rundown.
Cool. Yeah. I think you can also kind of speak on it because you cheered for so long. You're around a lot. Like,
I did.
I mean, we were. I mean, yeah.
10 plus years, so you know me well enough. But the cheer definitely has a good perspective on it.
Just background for everyone watching. Like, I've known Sarah since I was 4 years old. I mean, she cheered every year that you cheered every year that I played football, which was 10 years. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that influenced you in a way that wasn't always positive. Let's say. Growing around a bunch
of, that's a good way to put it.
Which is being around a bunch of teenage boys who were even more more hyper masculine because of the football and stuff. Yes. Right.
Exactly, I agree with that completely. It's definitely a different perspective because I think you're someone who's a good influence, in my opinion, when it comes to masculinity. But what I was accustomed with and I got used to was not that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a man, and even I got was like Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Really?
I was like, yeah. I mean, I was like Jesus, it was a little much.
A little bit.
Yeah. What do you think it means to be masculine?
So it's a good question because I think that definition really just depends on who you're asking. But for me personally, I think that it is what society creates on how we validate manliness, on what it means to be a man, our behaviors and our attributes. Do I totally agree with that? No. But I think masculinity in itself means what measures society bases off of how manly you can be. That's what I think it is personally.
That makes sense. That's a pretty simple definition. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Do I consider masculinity the same thing as what people consider? No. I think that you need to have a balance of both emotional intelligence and strength to a certain degree to be considered someone who's masculine, but that's just me. You need to have the balance of both.
Well, yeah, I mean that's unique. I think the emotional intelligence aspect is something that is lacking in traditional masculinity, a lot, right? A lot of
absolutely.
I know that's I have a lot of traditional masculine issues, but one of the hardest things is I'll be in therapy, right? And my hardest question, my least favorite question to be asked in therapy is, well, how do you feel about that? And I just have to sit there and I can explain how my brain is working, where the logic is going, right. Or all these different vectors, until she's like, how do you feel about that? I'm like, fuck. I want to answer that question. And then I cheat, and then every time I try to cheat and be like, oh, it makes me upset. And then she's like, that's not a real word. That's a word that means bad. That you just said bad in a different way.
It's like saying I'm fine after someone asks if you're okay.
Yeah.
That's what that does.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. I mean, I think that it's hard though, but it's a good thing that you're going because a lot of people don't because they think that being emotional is not manly, that's completely insane. Like that's just wild to me that that's somebody's headspace.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that people say men aren't as emotional as women, okay? Because there's specifically like a certain emotion that seems to be missing whenever they think about that. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
okay,
With that.
seems like anger, okay,
Anger
might be being left out of this equation, you know?
just a little bit.
Yeah, because if you include anger, I feel like it evens out, you know?
It does. It definitely evens out. I do agree with that.
But yeah, I think that's like because men are so focused on doing things and they're so valued on the things that they do, right? Like instead of being valued for like the person that they are, right? They're so valued for the things that they do, right? Even like not even just by society, but by like the people that they're around, right? Like anger is a really good catalyst to get things done, to do things, right? So like
true.
it's easy to be sad and be like, all right, cool. But if I'm angry instead of being sad, right, then at least I have fuel to like go do something rather than just sit there and be sad and then you know I'm a man, so no one's gonna give a fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the anger can be so ugly. It can go so bad so fast.
I'm not saying that's a good thing, right? No, yeah. No,
I agree with that. But it motivates you to get you going, then at least you got something.
Right. I think that's like because we're not allowed to feel any other emotions, right? So if you get angry,
vulnerable emotion.
Yeah, anger's not really a vulnerable emotion, exactly.
No,
right?
It's just an emotion, which is different than what they consider to be something that makes you look weak, even though it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Yeah. So, what do you think is your most positive masculine quality?
Like me personally, or what I consider the most positive?
No, what you like about yourself.
Yeah. Okay. I would think probably for me, I personally think my resilience is one thing.
That's what I would have picked too. Yeah, about you.
Yeah. Right. And I think that I would say my expressiveness, but that's something I'm still working on. So maybe not. But I think that's my something I'm working on. So I'll count that. Okay. I'm getting better at being able to express myself, not in the what's like emotional sense, but like in the sense where I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that, or hey, I'm not comfortable with that. And that's, I mean, something that I consider to be more of a masculine trait, but because I think as women we're not raised that way. At least I wasn't. Where like no, it was a really hard thing for me. But like for men, that's not. I mean, for men that I've met, I can't say for all men, that's not something that really crosses their mind. That if they don't want to do something, they just won't. But for me, at least how I was raised, it was, no, that's easy for everyone, so do it. So for me, gaining that is definitely something that is like a more masculine trait that I like.
Yeah.
Or resilience is definitely my biggest one, though.
Oh my god, yeah. Dude, I mean, yeah, I would, like, knowing your history and stuff like that without getting into it, like, the things that, like, your life experiences, you should be a lot more distraught than you are. Like it's actually like it's very inspiring sometimes. With like with how yeah, of course it is.
I agree though.
Yeah, with how well you take things.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, I agree though. I think that there's two ways that you can always handle something, and especially when it comes to traditional masculinity. You can respond in anger, or you can respond with resilience. So I choose the second versus the first. Doesn't mean I haven't in the past. Doesn't mean that all people won't. Sometimes it's a learning lesson.
Yeah.
But it's there. It's present. Traditional masculinity shows that on a daily basis, even in women. You'll see it just because of fathers, brothers, cousins, who you're raised with. That shows.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think also like I think that resilience is like so hyper focused on with men, right? Like
it is.
That like there's this it is what it is like sentiment, and it's like sometimes it's like it's something that very easily can change, right? And it's like, why would you? No, like what do you mean? Like yeah, it is what it is. It's good when like there's like a war going on abroad. You're
Yeah.
like, okay,
Or like
what
you
am
miss the flight. Like the flight gets delayed.
yeah. But like if you're like, yeah, like, you know, like my friend's being kind of a shitty friend, I guess it is what it is. Like, no, like you should talk to
No,
him
it's not. It's not.
or
Yeah,
not be friends
exactly.
with him anymore. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely think with men that's a lot more prominent. Maybe I'm wrong,
No, yeah.
but I think with men it's definitely more prominent. Because like for me, I'm like, absolutely not. I got better things to do. Bye.
Yeah.
But I feel like with emotional stuff, men are taught to like kind of be like, well, it's whatever. I'm just gonna like push aside what I'm feeling and just like keep going.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
Yeah. That or they try to problem solve with just like it's fine in their own life because like once you get rid of the problem, like eventually the feeling about it will go away. But like I know I have this problem. I think this is a common man problem. Okay, with their wives, it's like anyhow will bring something up, and like I'm constantly like, all right, cool. Like my brain is going like, okay, how to like, you know,
12 miles a minute.
Jimmy Neutron brain blast about how to fucking solve this problem, and she's really just trying to vent. And I'm just like,
exactly.
she's just venting it, and my brain's like, all right, cool. If I solve this problem,
How do I
she
fix it?
she won't feel this way anymore. If there's no problem, right? And my brain's going, yeah.
And really, she's just like, I don't need you to fix anything at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I definitely think that I see that on a daily basis with like my parents. Like my mom's the fixer though, and my dad's it is what it is. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a very, very weird dynamic because she's like, let me do it. And he's like, I don't care. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting dynamic. I'll tell you that.
Well, that is really interesting because most of the time they're like the fixer and the is what it is like the same person. It's usually the man, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's usually the man. But in this situation, I think that my dad grew up with all women. Like he had two brothers, but they're definitely a lot like him where they're a lot more emotionally expressive. And I don't know if that was due to my grandma or not, but for him, he's definitely more emotionally expressive. My mom, even though she's very loving and kind and loud, she actually doesn't express that much. She's just the fixer.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's weird. And then they had me. And all hell broke loose. Which is
oh.
Yeah. And here we are. So yeah, it's a good learning lesson though, because I get to kind of not teeter both sides. I get to kind of see both sides, especially during the arguments. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, good point. Oh, but that's a good. You know, it's definitely like.
Yeah, there's definitely times, both ways where sometimes like it's better just to vent about something because you can't change it. There's definitely sometimes when like I'm trying to fix something and she's like, I just want to vent. I'm like, wait, hold on, but this is like an easily fixable problem, right? Like. No.
Actually fix it.
Yeah. Who can actually fix this problem? Like, no.
If I was Neha, I'd be like, I hate you. I hate you right now.
She's listening to this podcast right now too.
I know. I'm with you, Neha. Just kidding.
And then what do you think your most negative masculine quality is?
I think for me, I have this, and you and I have talked about this before. My inherent insaneness that I just think that I'm always right. I do. I always think that I'm right, and I'm not. But like a good chunk of the time, like I would say about 60% I'm right, 40% I'm not. I feel like that's a pretty fair split.
I don't think that's a man thing.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me being a brat.
It could be.
Who knows? Maybe I don't know if it's like. I think for me though, it's more this like, no, I did. It's like it. It's an attitude, yeah, but it's like the stubbornness of like no, and I get it from my dad where it's like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Like I know what I'm talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. And I see that a lot with my side of the family on the male side, but I don't see that my mom's side.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if it's a personality thing. Maybe it's just stubbornness, to be completely honest. But I feel like with women in groups, let's say, like a party, you're not going to deal with that. Like women will be like, oh, we're hosting. It's not a big deal. Let's just move it along. Or leave it alone. And me, I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. I'm right. You're
okay.
Right.
So
and
it's like the okay. It's like the I can't let go of it. Like the assertiveness, the assertiveness of your rightness.
Yeah, okay. You need to listen to make sure I need to know that you understand that I'm right. It's annoying. I can admit that's annoying.
I understand. I definitely have that issue too, where sometimes like I try not like I don't. usually don't start controversial topics, right? But if someone brings a controversial topic, I'm like,
then you're ready for it.
I'm like, no, I'm not ready for it. If someone else brings it up and they're wrong, especially if they're wrong, I'm like,
especially if they're wrong,
like,
and I'm hearing it, I'm like, I can't say anything, but I want to see something.
It bothers me because it's like, why would you bring it up if you're so wrong? You know?
Right? Like, you don't do any research before you, like, and you're so confident when you say it, too.
Yeah.
But you're saying all the wrong things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how you're confident. Where's the confidence coming from?
It's like remember when I sent you the thing about Harry Potter, how I don't like Harry Potter? I think it's bad. At least when you were like, when I said you it was bad, and you were like, no, you're wrong, I could at least like, I had like several reasons why I only sent you things about the power system. I didn't even get to the rest of it.
It's
like,
true. It's true. And then at one point I was like, okay, you're right. You're right. That hurt my ego, by the way. Destroyed my day. Just kidding.
I didn't. That's only one portion of why I think Harry Potter is bad, by the way.
Shut up. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
That's just the worst part. Like the other things are forgivable and can be built upon, but like once you ruin the power system, it's like, okay, there's no coming back from this.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's true. It's just built off nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you can make more events in the world building to like fix the world building. Yeah. You can make new characters that'll fix the characters, right? But like the magic's not going to work a different way in the next book.
It just comes out of air. It just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's a solid point. Yeah. But again, like usually me doing that, saying like, "Oh, you're right." That is a bitter pill for me to swallow. I'm like,
I get it.
No. So if I do it, I'm like, "Oh, you are right. That sucks."
That means I'm supremely right about Harry Potter and its bad magic system.
We'll negotiate that at a later. We'll circle back to that.
Okay. So, what's the next question? The next question is, how do you think traditional masculinity has helped or failed you?
Both, or do I just answer one?
Both. You can do both. Yeah.
Okay. So, how it's failed me, that's such an easy question. Like I was saying, I work in banking, okay, and one of the top 10 firms that's built off of traditional masculinity, right? An entire area and company built off of men. Women were not made. Well, they weren't made for the job, but they weren't made into the picture when it came to creating this company and this job. So, for a lot of men that I work with on a daily basis, women don't fit the mold. We don't. Our being can even be considered a weakness. Like we're too emotionally attached. We can't get the job done. We don't have the physical or mental capacity. That's a lot of where that traditional masculinity kind of comes into play for certain types of men. Not all men. Certain types of men. That's what they consider to be traditional masculinity. However, that's not always the case. Now you have the good ones. It sounds bad to say that. Which traditional masculinity is like being a gentleman, so it's not like a alpha male kind of thing. It's a just respect thing. So you definitely get like good things out of that. Like I've learned how to be like,
I might challenge you on the traditional masculinity thing being a gentleman thing.
Okay.
Because
let's hear it.
Sometimes it feels like traditional masculinity, a lot of it is just an apology for the fact that like women have to do the shit, have the shit stick in traditional masculinity.
Sure. Here's some flowers, you clean the entire house. Right?
Yeah. I got you flowers. Thanks for taking care of the children and being perpetually barefoot and pregnant.
Yeah, that's actually a very fair point. I'll give you that. That's definitely for sure. I think that it is like, it's like when a really bad kid does one thing good. You're like, oh my god, great job. Here's a lollipop.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, where it's like, oh my gosh, he's being so nice. Oh, I didn't realize that asking for the bare minimum was super nice. Mm-hmm. So I do agree with you with that, but I think that given someone who's seen the toxic masculinity side and they're calling it traditional, however they want to see it, you kind of just have to work with the system. Yeah. You either work with it or you work against it. Working against it, given my situation, isn't going to work for me.
No, I got you.
Yeah, so I would say it definitely has failed me more than helped me. I have more examples of that. So
yeah. There's I definitely think that persistence, like the setup of the chase has also not helped you, because as you're learning, you're learning to be more assertive, but like
Right.
Being
But
assertive
it's
is
still
not.
something I'm working on.
Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, when it's harder for you to be assertive, like this whole, like when people say that we have like a, people say we have like a rape culture. I don't think they mean that like every man is a rapist, right?
Yeah.
Because
No, they're not.
like statistically, like there's a small percentage of men doing a lot of that. You
Yeah.
understand, right? You understand what I'm saying, right? It's
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
um, but I think that the setup is set up for accidents to happen, like miscommunications to cause like one class of that, right? But then there's the other class
Right.
where it's like, okay, like up until like the danger zone, they always have plausible deniability of the be like, well, I just thought, I thought I was just chasing it, and like
Yeah.
sometimes,
It was a part of the game.
yeah, and then by the time you get there, because we haven't taught women to be like, okay, I see what you're doing, it's not happening, get the fuck away from me, right?
Exactly.
Like
Exactly. I completely agree with that.
it's already like you're already in the danger zone. Something bad's already
Yeah, it's
happening.
already there. Like by the time that we're taught to recognize the red flags, sadly enough,
Yeah,
are like you said in the danger zone. Like it's already there.
yeah,
Like by the time in a lot of situations that I've learned recently, I've put myself particularly in that situation, but I could have known it was coming from miles away, but I wasn't given
yeah,
that like mindset. My mindset was
right,
not there at all.
right, and it's, I think, like obviously like those things still shouldn't have happened, right?
Right, of course.
Regardless, that's not,
Right.
but like I don't think any amount of telling men like not to be rapists was gonna stop
No,
them,
it wasn't gonna do it. It's like don't do it. It's bad.
like
Okay, I think they know that.
particularly the one, right? Like I don't think that was, I don't think that was gonna, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know,
it wasn't gonna do anything. I
yeah,
think that people focus. I think even society focuses on like, okay, if we make this like a broader picture and target all men, they're gonna get it.
yeah,
Well, that's not working. That method is not working.
yeah, because
So
I didn't need you to
we
tell
gotta
me.
change it up.
I didn't need you to tell me that.
Yeah.
Like I just
Right? Like, and if you needed someone to tell you that, then we're already, like you said, in the danger zone.
Yeah,
We have a problem.
yeah.
Big problem.
I should be somewhere seeing someone and probably taking medication. Yeah.
Exactly. I think what we call help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously like there's like definitional things. Like you learn that like some things that you do when you're like a teenager, right, may not be appropriate, right? But that's more of like a definition thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that like one of the things that
Yeah.
I feel very guilty about, and I think a lot of men don't understand when they're in high school, is like you're just looking for the yes because you're like, oh, cool. If she didn't mean like yes, she wouldn't say yes. So like, especially with your girlfriend, like hang out for a long time and you're like, oh yeah, okay, but come on, da 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 da, and then it's like, you don't realize that you're doing something wrong, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
At the
exactly.
time, because you're like,
It's
oh,
like,
but
well, she said yes.
she said yes. Like I would have never done it if she didn't say yes, of course, right? But like
Of course.
you don't
Given
understand
the
that.
circumstances, what if she didn't realize that she didn't want to say yes, or she felt like she had to say yes? Like there's so many other
Right.
factors.
Or I just like forced a yes out of her because that's what I was looking for, and it's
Right.
like, well, at the time you don't realize that because no one explains that to you, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
And that's it's all just about consent. But consent isn't just like a yes. It should
Right.
be more like a conversation. But
Right.
that conversation between two drunk frat sorority people doesn't happen.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Very good.
Hold on. Someone is, what do you call it? Someone. I am holding a gun to his head as he's saying this. What? What is Noah?
Was that Noah?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just texted me saying, check the stream chat on Discord. Noah, go away. Isn't it past your bedtime?
No,
Go to sleep.
he's in my house.
It's past his bedtime. He needs to go to bed.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. And then, so let's move on. How about like who are your masculine role models or like masculine communities that you really like look up to or look to for guidance or anything like that?
Yeah. I think my biggest one is actually my uncle, because when people think of the military, they think toxic. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of people do. My uncle was 10 years in the military, being a Marine, and he is the embodiment of like strength and discipline. But for him, inherently in tune with his emotions, and he's always open to like having those like heartfelt conversations that I think that men who have been taught not to be open to having emotional conversation have, he's willing to do. I mean, he does have 3 daughters, so I guess that does help, but I think for him it's a lot like his physical prowess is there, but it means nothing if he can't like back it up with the mental capacity. So he like I was saying earlier, like he has the balance between finding both and never makes assumptions. So I think that was like my first like big positive model of what it means to be like positively masculine. You know, he's a good person through and through without having to like be strong or incredibly intelligent. Like that's already on the table. And then you add the fact that he does try to take care of himself and his family, and he's emotionally in tune. It's rare to find, but it's good to see that it's not like doesn't exist on this planet. Like it exists, you just have to put in the effort and try.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's definitely my main one.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the daughters thing, like a lot of people get really upset when people are like, oh well, you know, he had daughters and then he realized like da 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 da. Well, it's like it's better than nothing. Like there's people that don't learn the lesson their whole life. Like
exactly. Like take it or leave it. I'll take it.
Just be happy that someone learned it, right? At some point, like you know, that's one more person that right. I think
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And I think I think that's nice that you got to grow up like with your uncle and stuff like that, and that's somebody that was like so integral to your life. Like,
exactly. One, it's also like I got to see the world in very different. Like I saw a lot of countries. I've been in Japan and Latvia, and like he went out of his way when I was treated badly in those areas, like you know, catcalled, things like that. Like he would go out of his way and be like, "Hey, I want you to know that that's not how you should be treated. Just to let you know, like you deserve better than that." Like he actively throughout my life showed me what I deserved. So I think that should be taught both ways. So I think that's where the double-edged sword is like we don't teach men at a very young age, and until recently I would hope that like, hey, this is what you deserve, like this is what you want, like this is what you deserve to have someone who's going to, you know, reality check you or be there with you, blah blah blah. We only do that for like young women. I don't feel like I hear like those conversations with men.
Well, I think men are judged by their achievements and not the people that they are, right? Even by like their friends and their loved ones, right? Like yes, women are commodified for their body, absolutely, right? But that's like mainly by society and like their partner, right? Mm-hmm. But like their friends don't like judge them based on their sexuality, right? Their parents, their siblings, you know, like these other people. Men, they're always judged on their achievements. Like very rarely like how do I check this? Well, we can do a test for you. Okay? Okay.
I'm scared.
Who's your favorite like male in your life? Like dude in your life?
Like my favorite male of all time?
Just in your life right now. In your life that you know. Dad. Okay. Name your 3 favorite things about him.
His stubbornness, even though it's annoying, I still love it. His motivation and his humor.
Okay, cool. You passed, okay? Because when you
passed? Yeah, you know.
Okay. The normal thing that people fall into, right, is when you say that, right, they will say, what do you call it? When you say that, they'll say like, oh well, he's always there for me, right? Or they'll say like, you know, he's really good at his job, right? They'll tie it to like, you understand what I'm saying? Like they'll tie. No, I get it. Right? It's either things you can do for me, or
achievements that they're doing, and not the person that they are.
Right.
Yeah. I see that, and that's sad too, because it's like, I think that's why also men struggle a lot with being masculine. That's in a non-toxic way.
Yeah.
Is because what they were taught is, like you said, achievements and goals and expectations versus like women, and we get the opportunity, I mean hopefully we get the opportunity to like dig into our emotional side and like get that emotional intelligence that men sometimes lack because they don't dive into it or they don't feel like they can,
right? Because they're not valued for that, right? It feels like that plays into them being unable to like, their lives are like, men's lives I think sometimes are set up to where like the reason that like we say young men are entitled is because they've been told their whole lives, right, that if they achieve a certain amount of money and they're a certain level of fitness, right,
look a certain way,
right, yeah, dress a certain way, right, that they will just no one
you'll make it.
no one explains like that's how like okay cool then you'll have like a car, you'll have a house, you'll have a wife, okay, and she'll love you and then right like no that's not how you get any.
That's not reality.
Yeah, yeah, you get the material parts of those things, but like the wife part, like like it requires a lot more emotional intelligence than I think sometimes people think of, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's the part of the problem, is that people don't want to open Pandora's box in that way when it needs to be so badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like I don't think they're entitled. They're just misled. No. They've been misled.
They're
like
I agree with the misled.
Like someone told them, or their father was like always like will say the worst possible. Like they'll be like, oh yeah, like your mom just appeared kind of like like I worked real hard and like like I got a job.
There she was.
And then it's like
thin air, like a gift.
And then you're just like
oh god.
If you like have any experience with women, you usually look at your parents and how they interact with each other. Not yours. I'm not about yours.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and you look at how they interact with each other, and you're like, oh, this seems unhealthy.
This seems like a bad situation.
How did you guys decide?
Yeah.
That's how you're gonna,
Yeah. No, I get it. Because like my mom was very honest about when she married my father about how big of a-hole he was. And it is to this day, but like she was like, I don't even know how I married this man. Like I love him more than anything, but he is such a butthead. I'm trying not to curse. And so
you're fine.
I think that seeing him, and even as a kid, I've seen the amount of effort he's also put into his emotional like being. You know what I mean? Like the conversations that we have now as me being an adult, I would have never been able to have with him 12 years ago. No shot. No way. But it just seeing the effort, like it's not going to change overnight. But I think for women, and maybe I can't speak for all of them, so I'll speak for myself. I'm not expecting you to wake up and be the most emotionally in tune human being ever. All I need is the effort. Like you consistently putting in the effort is all I'm asking for.
That's how I feel about a lot of people. I think a lot of people are very results based with people, and I'm very much like if you're really trying and really making improvement, like I understand that's like that's enough, right? As long as it's not something catastrophic, right?
Right, exactly. Like to a certain degree, depending on what you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with that. Right, I try to be any other role models, communities that you've like joined or anything like that? Or
I think for me, the Pride Center is actually. I do community service at the Pride Center a lot, and I think in a weird way, positive masculinity is more in like present there than I see in like my everyday life.
Interesting.
Just right, you would think that, because I think for a lot of the people that I've met there, they've had to fake this like manly man perspective in their life, because either they're scared for their family or they're too embarrassed to come out, whatever the situation is. They've had to fake that for so long that now that they're so in tone with themselves, they're just them, and there's no like alpha male presence about them anymore. Not like that's a bad thing. Like, some people are just manly men. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that there's a difference between an alpha male and someone who's just confident in themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I think for me, the Pride Center helped give the perspective. It's like, okay, masculinity comes in very, very different forms. It's just what you choose to be interested in and what you don't. For me, it's an emotional thing. For a lot of people, it's like how many reps you can do at the gym. I don't know. For me, it's an emotional. So I think for that, the Pride Center showed me a lot of different experiences on how to be positively masculine. Mm-hmm. I guess I could say.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say on it because I haven't been to the Pride Center before. Cool. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say on it because I haven't been to the Pride Center before.
Oh, you should. I'll bring you. It's fun, actually. They bring bagels and donuts. It's great.
That sounds fun. Yeah, bagels and donuts are always great.
I know. I go for the free food. Just kidding. I'm joking.
Do you think society is trying to remove some like positive aspects of masculinity?
Absolutely. Look at the past 3 years in society. we've regressed, like in a lot of things, but let alone recognition and protections of right of individuals, let alone letting men have the opportunity to actually physically grow in their own emotional and physical bodies. This as a society, as a government, especially, and that gets maybe a little political, so I'll back up there. But we have expressed that traditionalism, meaning back and all the way back, is what we're striving for, which is inherently.
Oh, okay. I figured out what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, just because it took me a second, I got it. So we're just I'm going to say what you said in different words now.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so you're saying that the rise of like, especially like I'm assuming you're talking about like the MAGA crowd.
Yes.
Okay, wants to shift us back to traditionalism, right? And I agree that that's bad. I don't think
right?
that's yeah. It's not like that's a big surprise for anybody who's watched any of these podcasts or you who's talked to me. But I don't think that has to do with masculinity, right? I don't think that's them trying to remove aspects of any positive aspects of masculinity, right? So like one of the ones that I would say are really positive, right? That people are trying to remove is I think that like emotional resiliency, right? Is like the ability to just go, okay, this is just how things are, right? I might be able to change them in the future, but in this moment, I have to be okay with what's happening right now, right?
Okay.
I think that's something that we're trying to get rid of. Like this emotional resiliency is something that I've noticed that my peers and people younger than me don't have, right? And even to some degree,
I agree with that.
Even to some degree, going back into the MAGA thing, the pandemic we have found that a lot of people aren't emotionally resilient. As soon as you just a lot of people just aren't emotionally resilient, right? They're like, hey, if you stay in your homes for 2 weeks, right, and tell us if you get sick, like we can get rid of this plague that's killing all old people.
And then past that.
Yeah. And then they're like, no, I can't be inside. What do you mean?
Right.
I'll die.
I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to burn alive inside my house. Everything is falling apart. The world's ending.
Yeah. And it's like, okay.
You're like, I think you're fine.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, someone was, it's like back in, like, World War II for fucking, they were like, hey, man, stay inside for 2 weeks and this plague's gone. Like,
yeah, and I think
cool.
And I think that the events that we've had though in the last let's go back to a century, the events that take place don't encourage emotional emotional behaviors are no longer encouraged for men. Like it's like now given the environment, it's very much like if you cry and if you do this and you express emotional blah blah blah, you're a fucking baby. You're they use slurs. Like it gets ugly very quickly. And so people now avoid doing it given where you're from or how you were raised. For me, I don't care. Because you don't want to be put in that situation or that perspective or that group.
Yeah. I understand.
So I guess it's not like taking it away, but it's not encouraging it. Is what I can say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. And then how do you feel about the term positive masculinity?
I think, again, I think I've said this before, but depending on who you talk to, it can be taken very different ways. But for me, I think I read this somewhere where positive masculinity is a counterbalance to shame. And I agree with that in a lot of ways. It is the opposite end of feeling like you can't express yourself and you can. It's offering a pathway of growth and encouragement versus scrutiny and shame. So that's what I think of when I think of positive masculinity.
Yeah. You just made me think of something that's going on the vision board. Sorry, this is actually...
No, it's okay.
So the shame reminded me of like this Avatar: The Last Airbender quote. Uncle Iroh, he tells when Zuko's like, oh, I gotta get my pride back so I can reduce my shame, and he's like, no, like pride isn't the opposite of shame. right? It's its progenitor, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Humility is the opposite of shame, right?
Yeah.
And I think that humility needs to go on a vision board. Like, it's one of the, like, my, like, core aspects of masculinity, like understanding
like that.
your competencies, right? So, like, humility doesn't mean like underplaying yourself. Humility is actually like you understanding exactly how competent you are at something, right?
Yeah.
And neither underplaying it or overplaying it, right? Be like, all right, I'm about this good at something.
What you know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a very, like, positive aspect of, like, positive masculinity is this humility, right?
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that's the shamefulness and the scrutiny is the biggest part of what holds people back from wanting to do it.
I feel like we've gotten rid of a lot of like feminine shame, right? We've done so good, and I that's not bad. That's great. That's good.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right, but like masculine shame, I feel like it's so easy to be shamed as a man. Okay.
Oh, it is. It's and especially nowadays.
Well, it's also
I think
from either direction, right? Like for example, I've never experienced someone call me more homophobic slurs than a woman that I've turned down before. Okay, it is insane.
That's wild.
It's insane. It's crazy. Okay.
Like rejection causes you to just demoralize not only the person that you're in front of, but a completely separate group of people who are not even associated with the situation.
And I'm not the only person, by the way, who's like had this experience of being called like a homophobic slur.
I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that at all, because it's tossed. That word is tossed around, or those stereotypes or slurs or whatever is tossed around like nobody's business. Like it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah,
it's terrible. So I'm not surprised by that. I'm saddened, but I'm not surprised.
That's just like one that's like a random one that you wouldn't expect, right? But it's common. Right. But it's also super common, right?
Absolutely. I think I've heard it just like on going out to the bars or something like that. Some girl who's pissed that gets rejected, the guy doesn't want to take her home, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, it's like whatever. And you're like,
yeah, exactly, and you're like, whoa, that came out of left field. Why was that necessary?
Yeah, like what are we doing here, bro?
Like, okay, nice to meet you too.
I've seen it at a Pride event, and I'm like, this is wild. This is the most wild thing I've ever experienced.
That's so out of pocket for that person. That's so out of pocket.
I'm like, so wild. I'm just like, what? What is happening?
I'm so sorry. I think I might have entered an alternate universe.
Yeah,
where this was okay. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you though. That's wild though. That's out of pocket. Oh my god.
Who does that?
Someone said that to me. I would be punching.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think like, you know, if you have more humility, you'll be like, okay, bro. Like I'm at a point where with my sexuality, I'm definitely humble. Okay, I know I'm straight. Okay, you can call me.
Fine. There's nothing wrong.
Call me slurs as much as you want. It's not gonna bother me. Okay.
It's almost like I feel like there was also a time in where you were almost like scrutinized for being straight for a bit, but like that's a different conversation. But like it's also very complex for everyone. Just like getting angry instead of having the conversation first. It's just like you said in the beginning. Anger is a really good emotion just to start with. So people start there and it just spirals from there.
Yeah. But but like I've achieved at that level of humility with like facts about myself. It doesn't bother me when people are like say directly incorrect things, right? Like if someone's like, I don't care, dude. Someone's like, you're gay, and I'm like, okay, whatever you say, I guess I am. Sure. It doesn't bother me. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Like whatever you say, bro. Okay? It doesn't.
Like, I mean, you know what I usually respond? I'm like, if you had a crush on me, you could have just asked. Like I'll just go there. I'll just bring it all the way home at that point. If you want to go there, let's go.
It like the I usually don't get called that anymore. The most I've seen for it is like when I say I like muscular women. Sometimes people will be like, "Oh, that's kind of gay," and I'm like, "Then I'm gay, bro." Okay, I should go buy a rainbow flag. I should hang it up my room. I'm gay as fuck. Okay, I don't care.
And you own it. That's right. But why? And also, why is that like something where people are like, "That's gay, bro"? Like what? What do you mean?
Not
like, just liking athletic women is gay.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, but who cares? Don't care. Doesn't bother me.
It shouldn't. It's just again, I use out of pocket a lot in the last minute. It is. It's wild. It's just like, okay, sure. Yeah. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
I can't say who told me that on the podcast, but I'll text it to you after.
You gotta tell me. That's wild. That's wild.
Oh my goodness. Is there any other like aspects of masculinity you want to talk about?
I mean, I think a good one. Are we doing like the topic I came up with?
Oh no, that's the B-roll. That's different.
Yeah,
That's a whole separate thing.
I think
it is kind of about masculinity, but we'll talk about it.
But we'll wait for that one.
Yeah.
I think I have a question for you more than anything. I think, what is like your three, or just like I guess some aspects that you consider the most toxic when it comes to toxic masculinity?
I think it's this need for dominance. It's definitely one.
I agree.
It's like it's this, you need to constantly be saving face, right? Which I think is just like silly, right? Like one of the things that I argue with my dad, my dad a lot about. Sometimes he'll talk about why he gets in fights, because he gets in fights a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, why didn't you just walk away or call the police? It's like, well, I'm not gonna just let someone challenge me. Like why?
Why? Yeah, like why?
That like it says a lot more about this other person than it says about you.
Yeah, you could just walk away.
Right? Like you should only use. I am one of those people that like you should only use violence when you're in immediate danger. Right?
Exactly. Just because you back away from a fight doesn't make you less of a man.
No, like
it doesn't.
Yeah, and like especially for my dad, who's been in tons of fights, he doesn't need to know he can beat this guy up.
You don't need to know what to do with fights. I think you're good.
Yeah, I think you're fine. Okay. And I think the last thing is like it's this this dependency on women's validation, right? Basically, everything that men do in like modern society is for the validation of a woman, which is an insane way to live.
I agree,
right?
Completely.
This like idea of external validation, right, is just not it's not realistic, right? It's not something that you can achieve, right? You like if you live your whole life looking for external validation, right, you will die empty and alone. All right?
You will. Right.
Okay? Andrew Tate, okay, and Elon Musk are
great example. Another great example.
Are going to die empty and alone. No matter how many women they've had sex with, no matter how much money they've made, okay, and no matter how many men no matter how many men simp for them on the internet. Okay?
Yeah. It does not matter at the end, like
because they don't feel you can tell there's something missing inside of them that they
well, they have this inherentness of like I'm superior to an entire subset of the population. Like I am better than you. I'm like, are you though?
No. They definitely don't think that.
So, I think Andrew Tate thinks he's better than most women.
No, I don't. I don't think I think he wants to believe that, which is why he constantly needs to show everyone he knows. Okay? I think if you...
Yeah, he's trying to convince himself of it, you think?
Maybe because I'm an old school martial arts guy. Okay?
Okay.
If you can beat someone up, okay, you wait until you go on a match with them, and then you beat them up. And then you shake their hand, you shake their coach's hand, and you go home. And that's all you need to do was when it was time to beat them up, you beat them up. Right. Okay? You don't need to talk about it. Okay? You don't need to be constantly talking about how I can beat this guy up, okay?
I beat this guy up, or I'm gonna beat this guy up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Like, if I was like, Sarah, I can beat you up. I can beat you up. And every day you heard how I can beat you up.
Exactly right. You probably could.
Right. But every day I told you how I can beat you up. Honestly, eventually you'd be like, can he though? Like, I feel like if he could, then you would like.
A lot. I'm not seeing you do.
Yeah, like he hasn't yet. Yeah. And I feel like, you know.
I feel like it's all talk at this point. No, I agree. So I agree with what you're saying though. Then about Andrew Tate especially, because it's like it's always about like this is how it's supposed to be. This is who I am. I'm a masculine man. I'm an alpha male. And I'm like, but like, are you though?
Bro,
who are you trying to convince?
Yeah.
Us or you?
Before the human trafficking thing, which I listen. I don't know what evidence they have Okay, but I think he did.
I don't either, so I don't know how to speak to that, but I know that I wasn't surprised, sadly enough.
But if
That's all I can say.
But if he did, well, there's a video of him explaining what he did to how he got the women there, and if he did exactly what he said in the video, it is in fact human trafficking by definition.
Ooh, I need to see that video then.
Yeah, it's like play by play.
It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, he describes because he's teaching other men how to do what he does, and he just describes human trafficking.
Is he still in jail? I hope so.
He's on house arrest right now.
Ugh, no, of course he is.
Yeah, but but they took his passport. He's not allowed to leave, so he's but yeah.
Oh God.
But besides before I thought about the human, I was just like, bro, if that's how you want to live, okay,
right?
Just live that way. It doesn't mean you're if someone else values something else, right? Then that's how they want. It should be how close you are to the way you want to live, right?
You just do you and don't make it everybody else's problem.
Yeah.
Do I agree with how he does it? Obviously not.
Well,
but it's not my problem to deal with until he makes it my problem by going all over the internet and making psychos everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely for example, I don't know how I'd be able to deal with an open relationship, right? But I don't think less.
I'm needy.
I don't think less of people who are in open relationships, right? If it's working for them, then go for it, right?
Then I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? But
But I personally couldn't. I just know that.
Fuck no.
And he was like, you better say that. You better say that.
Yeah. But I don't know. What else you got?
What else do I got? Well, when's the last time you cried? That's a positive masculinity trait. When's the last time you cried, Davin?
Oh, dude, honestly, in real life, I don't cry very much. Really? I'm very stoic, right?
You?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I never thought
that. In real life, it's a huge problem. I'm always the one that's the shoulder to cry on. I'm always the guy who comes and got to save everyone, right? We're joking.
You are.
Right. I was joking that on the way up we were talking about D&D classes, right? Which who Noah and Iha and I, what our D&D classes would be, and I was like, no, I'd be the paladin for sure. I'm the tank. I'm I'm there to take all the damage for everyone, right?
But sometimes it's good to not have to be that way.
No,
it's healthy to not be always. And like you said, you're working on it, but it's good to find the balance because you've been there for me a lot, and now I'm trying to be more resilient and be there for myself. You have to be able to do the opposite. Stop being there for everyone. Be there for you.
Yeah, I'm working on that, right? Or I'm my first thing that I needed to learn when I went to therapy was learning how to ask for help with anything, and I'm still not very good at asking for emotional help. I'm very bad at it.
Emotional help is hard. It's I would think even for myself, being raised in an environment where emotion wasn't something that was something to be oh, I can't do that. It was very open environment. You met my parents. My dad's not exactly a hippie, but my mom definitely is. It's peace and love up in this bitch. But even for me, it's hard for me to be I'm sad, I'm not doing well mentally, I need someone to bounce my ideas off of, to talk to someone. Even in therapy, it's so bad to say, but I'll just and I said, this is terrible, I'll just lie and be no, I'm great. I'm doing better than I've ever been. I'm fantastic. And then I get called out for it. So it's it's normal, but I think normalizing that for both sides, not just women or not just men, just in general, is the key, but that's hard to do because no one's willing to be that vulnerable.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, but I do cry a lot at anime and shit. It's just
okay, I do too.
Yeah.
I totally get it. The live action end of One Piece, pathetically enough, I teared up a little bit. It's fine.
What part was that? Because I remember I'm ahead in the anime, so I don't.
It wasn't the end of One Piece. It was when, have you seen Nami's episode yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so it's that episode. So I'm
okay.
oh my God, that's so cute.
Okay.
I'm not going to give anything away, but it's great.
I mean, I've watched the the anime, so I know like
Oh,
I,
okay. So
I
yeah.
I know the whole arc, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's like definitely when Arlong totally fucks her over.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there being like, "Help me!" And then I was like, "Oh!" I started to cry. But yeah, that's a good show, by the way. You really do need to finish that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That we've been
Yeah, it's
watching.
pretty
We
good.
got caught up in Jujutsu Kaisen instead, as of today.
What's that? Well,
Jujutsu,
actually, I'm asking like
Jujutsu,
it's not in the name.
Jujutsu Kaisen. It's yeah. It's
Jiu-jitsu?
Jujutsu, Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like a um, they fight like these malevolent spirits named curses, and this one kid eats a finger from like the most powerful curse, and then he's got to eat all the fingers, and then at the end they're gonna kill him so that they can kill the most powerful curse permanently.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast.
It's just emotional
That
damage.
sounds like cannibalism.
Okay, it's emotional damage. Okay, it's
It's
just
emotional damage.
it's
Fair
just
enough.
imagine Attack on Titan, the amounts of deaths in Attack on
Yeah.
Titan. Okay, but imagine like you give a shit about all the characters that are dying.
I'd be crying the entire episode.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Is that, oh, now. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Fair
it's
enough.
yeah. Aniha loves it. She's like addicted now.
Is she?
Yeah.
I'll have to ask her about it later, even
Yeah.
though I know she's listening.
Yeah, lots of thirst traps. There's so many like
What's a thirst trap? Is that what
so
you
many male thirst traps in that show. It's crazy.
I'm
Right.
so excited now.
They
I'm so excited.
There's one episode where they changed the character model for one guy just to make it more thirsty. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
No. I'm excited and terrified at the same time, but I feel like that's good.
Yeah.
I just started looking at the chat, and it is chaotic because of Noah.
What did he say this time?
It's just memes, really.
Oh, it just says okay. Okay. All right. Anything else to talk about when it comes to masculinity?
I think that's all I got.
All right, we're gonna get into our B-roll, but here's the outro. Thanks for showing up. Thank you, Sarah, so much. Okay, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time whenever I can get another guest. So, there you go.
Go
All right.
team.
Okay, bye bye.